Just a quick disclosure to share in conjunction with this podcast. Each of us are speaking to our personal experiences and do not consider ourselves experts and cannot offer medical, therapy, financial, or legal advice. We represent a wide range of experience on the autism spectrum and will always honor each perspective that is brought to our discussions. Our experiences, opinions, and perspectives are all unique and different and will be celebrated. Thank you so much for listening and connecting with us. Thank you. Welcome to Navigating Adult Autism. We are just a bunch of moms with a lot of perspectives, a lot of experience, and a lot of opinions. We are joined, by the way, I'm Mary, and I'm here with Tara and Elizabeth, but we are joined by Katherine and Erik. And if you recall, Katherine has joined us before in a previous podcast about marriage and relationships. And tonight we are covering marriage relationships. Well, we could call it married with children, because now we're talking about those on the spectrum that are married and actually have a child or children. And they're going to discuss that tonight while we bombard them with questions. And I might add that Cynthia is also, she's not here tonight, but she's on our podcast, and Erik is her son. So we're happy that they're here. So welcome, Katherine and Erik.
Thank you.
We're glad that you're back, Katherine.
Thank you.
So, and if you haven't listened to Marriage and Relationships, that was a really good episode. So
Yeah,
you did good. So why don't we start by just talking about like how you both met? Who wants to start?
Okay.
Or you both can talk at the same time.
So we met online, actually. Well, we had two meetings, like I mentioned before. So we first met whenever Erik was working at the zoo, and he doesn't remember me, but we met and he helped me out. I was interning at the zoo. But our official meeting that everyone remembers was whenever we met each other on a dating app.
Yes.
And we went on our first date bowling.
Yes.
And that was all Erik's idea. He's the one that set everything up. And
Now, which app was it? I want to know.
oh, it was Tinder.
Oh, yeah.
I just hear so much about apps, so I just thought
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a horrible app. I do not recommend it, but I happened to find a gem on that one. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Now, when you swiped right or whatever it is, did you know who Erik was? Did you recognize him?
Yes, he had a picture of him with an elephant too,
Oh,
and so I was
okay.
like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy from the zoo."
Oh, cool.
But yeah, no, he I guess just thought I was pretty, and so he swiped on me. But yeah, so
you went bowling, and
we did.
Yes.
We did.
how'd that go?
It was a lot of fun. We had, we went to Andy B's, and I think what did you say to me? I don't remember when you said it, but one of the first things you said was, "I'm going to warn you, I'm very competitive. I come from a very competitive family."
Sorry. Warning you ahead of time. Like you may have picked the wrong first date.
Yeah.
Be ready.
So,
But I'm horrible at bowling.
yeah,
so
she's
I'm
like,
very competitive and I get mad the whole time. I'm not really mad, but like I kind of get mad the whole time because I'm losing.
Yeah.
But
Well, you want to do well.
yeah, I want to
Yeah.
do well,
Yeah.
but I'm horrible at bowling. I was like, also, if I hit you with it, I'm so sorry again.
So had you both been on the app very long?
Yeah.
Before you met?
Yes.
You were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Erik, how'd that work out for you? Did you have any other dates on Tinder? Like,
I had
You had a
maybe
couple
one-
girlfriends.
I had a girlfriend, one or maybe one serious one before you, and gone on some dates.
well, the reason I asked, like, marriage and family was always like your goal. You always, you always wanted that as an individual.
Yes, that was
Okay.
always my long-term goal. I grew up as a huge Disney fan growing up, and always watching,
Right.
movies like The Parent Trap, and always I was like, I want to have a family, and just like I always loved I always loved
The idea of it.
the idea of
Yeah.
a family kind of a thing.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
I was always my end goal was to find someone to have a family with someday.
And you wanted
That's
kids?
good.
Yes, I did. I wanted kids.
We talked about it right away, actually.
Oh, did you?
Because,
Yes.
I mean, you get on there and some people are like, I'm just here to have fun. And other people are like, I want to find,
Right.
an actual partner. And so we talked about it right away that we're like, yeah, I want kids. And
families were our
That
end
was
goal
important
of kind of a
to
thing.
the
Was it in your bio? Like,
no.
what did you say in your bios?
I think I talked about my cats.
I think I don't remember what all I said. I said I was a fun-loving individual or something. Like I like to have fun. I like to hang out with my friends. I like to
Live with elephants.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another actually really interesting
We found out
tidbit
on the
we
first
found out on
night.
the first date.
Mhm.
She has a tattoo of
Mhm.
Africa and a music note on it.
Oh.
And
I think we missed that.
Yeah. And she asked me,
I could see his shirt was he had like short sleeves on, so I could see his tattoo of an elephant on his arm.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, like, tell me the story behind your tattoo kind of thing. And
mhm.
he starts going on about how he went to South Africa, and he worked on an elephant reserve, all this stuff. And he's telling me this, and I'm sitting there like, this guy is never going to believe me. We were in South Africa at the exact same time.
Oh my
Mhm.
god.
Yes.
Gosh, I don't think you mentioned that on the previous.
No,
That is so cool.
That is really
exact
cool.
same time. And
Yes.
I was there for music. And of
Mhm.
course, he was there to work on the reserve. And
Yes.
we just
Wow.
this guy's never gonna believe me.
Yeah.
He's gonna think I'm crazy. And I was sitting there going over it in my head. I was like, how do I tell him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Get up
going to
now,
think that
or-
you're lying.
But we
No,
were
the-
the exact same month and
That is
everything.
crazy.
Yeah,
That
exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
is
Wow.
weird.
It was really crazy, but I mean,
Well, and it's at one point I was even in the part of the country that he was in the entire time he was there.
mhm.
I mean, I was touring, and so it was kind of we were zigzagging across South Africa. But at one point we were not too far from each other either. So
Oh, wow.
How cool.
That is
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is cool.
we found that out on the first night though, and we were like, that's weird. This feels kind of right now. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
we just kept seeing each other, and
Mhm.
very shortly, I mean, probably a month in, I introduced you to my family.
Yeah.
Eric, did you disclose that you were on the spectrum or did you figure it out? I mean, I know you're with
Not for about 6 months.
6 months.
Mhm.
What was your
I-
choice on that, Eric? About
So my reasoning behind not disclosing it right away was I wanted her to get to know me
Mhm.
behind the diagnosis, because there's a lot more to me than that, obviously. So I wanted us to go. I loved the whole dating part and having fun and going on an
Oh,
adventure with
course.
somebody, and the getting to hopefully find your life partner. And then, eventually we became the official Facebook official in a relationship phase.
Yeah.
So we were that couple, and it's like, I loved that phase. And, but I did not disclose that for that reason. I wanted her to get to know the other parts of me first, and my personality, and just what else there was to me.
when did it come up?
It's about 6 months in, and he talked to me like, I have something serious I want to talk to you about. And
Yeah.
he tells me
I was really nervous to
he was
bring
so
it-
Because
bring
by
it
this
up,
time,
yeah.
you guys are pretty serious.
Yeah.
And things are
Yeah.
going
We
really
were,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only about 6 months after that, we literally bought a house together. So we were pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, which I look back and I'm like, we were a little nuts.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I was like, oh. But so, no, he, I think we were at your apartment probably, and
Mhm.
he's like, I got something really serious to tell you. And so he tells me, and I had figured it out. I was like, I know that. It's fine. Like, not a deal breaker. No, nothing.
That's good.
So you had already figured it out?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
figured it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I had.
What was your first clue?
So, and this was a big one on the last one. My first clue was the whole kissing thing, and him not. So he. Man, I really wanted him to kiss me, and he just was not kissing me. He kind of given me a peck, and I'm like, I wanted more than a peck, but okay. And
Buying a house together.
yeah.
Yeah, it was, how far along was
Sorry.
it?
It was pretty early on, but I ended up just kissing him, and I just realized that he wasn't getting my
Right.
social cues, and,
Yeah.
and I started noticing I just kind of had to tell him what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted him to kiss me, or if I really have been hinting that I want to go get food, I just had to say it,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and just little things like that, so it took a little bit of adapting because I used to like pout, and I can't pout.
Yeah.
I can't pout.
Oh, because he doesn't care. He doesn't know.
He doesn't
recognize
know.
it. Yeah.
He doesn't know I'm pouting.
Right.
And you can't blame him for not knowing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did
Right.
then. I did. I was like, not listening. He was I'm pouting and all that stuff. But he kind of gets it more now, I think, whenever I'm pouting-ish, but I'm more outward about it now.
Yeah.
Like,
Obvious.
I'm an obvious pouter now if I'm pouting. But yeah, no, so that's kind of how we first met, and we got serious, I feel like, pretty quick. Like I said, we basically our year anniversary, right after it, we closed on a house, and we bought a house, and and that was our first place ever living together too, was we bought a house together.
We would stay at each other. She would stay at my apartment more.
I lived with my parents, and then I had my own apartment, but
you never really unpacked.
I never really unpacked. I didn't really ever feel like I was like there, and so I just kind of left my stuff in boxes.
Yeah, you knew you were transitioning into
something else.
Yeah.
So, and Lord knows I did not want to live up that high anymore. There were so many flights of stairs. It was not worth going back to my
and there
apartment.
was no elevator or anything. It was literally just stairs.
So many stairs. My dad's gonna, if he hears this, he's gonna be like, "You can't complain about that. I carried all your books." So
up there. Oh gosh.
I collect books, so there was a lot of books.
Right.
And then at one point they said,
I don't think he carried all those books up there. That was
You
me
carried
and
most of the
that
books.
was me and another friend. Who carried those up
Yeah,
there.
that was actually that was only a couple months in. He helped me move, and let's just say he got a workout helping me move a couple months in. Only for me to leave less than
he
6
helped
months
load
later.
books onto the U-Haul, but he didn't.
He did not carry them up
carry
the flights
those
of
up the
stairs.
step.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you were married at this time when you got the house, or you
No,
bought the house
we were
before you got married?
Not yet.
That's what I thought.
But-
Okay.
Yeah. And so then, so we bought it in November, and then in January he proposed to me. And I knew it was coming. We already picked out a ring. I just didn't know when it was coming. But
I wanted her to choose her ring. I asked her to come and like, hey, do you want to choose an engagement ring? And because it was going to be her ring, so I wanted her to be like, I wanted her to like it and have her approval on it. So
basically, I picked it.
Yeah,
he bought it, and I didn't know when it came in.
Yeah, I was like, we'll get this, but I'm not going to tell you when we're going to do it.
Yeah, and so he actually ended up doing it at our housewarming. We had a housewarming party in January, and he did it with tons of family there, because family's like family and friends are super important to us. And so he knew that would be something that I would really like, that'd be memorable. And I say that he is clueless sometimes with me. I was clueless for our engagement though, because he is behind me. I guess he was knelt down behind me.
Yeah,
in
there's
our
a
living
video
room.
of that. And
yes, and
I'm tapping her on the shoulder, and she's talking to friends, and she's just like,
oh
my goodness.
It was like, why are you so low? Oh,
that's really funny.
I was like, I'm trying to host. Be hostess. But and so I'm just kind of waving him away. But yeah, and they got that all on video.
It's on video. It's saved for life.
Me trying to get him away from me. But
were you nervous, Eric? I mean, she already picked out the ring. You knew that she was going to say yes. Right?
Yeah. I was first nervous because that same day I asked her dad's blessing and permission. He said yes. He said, that's fine.
That's why I said it. That's fine.
My dad's a man of few words.
Yeah, that would make me nervous just by having those two words. That's fine.
That's fine. And then,
did you know to do that? Did you know that you were supposed to have?
Yes.
Or did your parents help you? Or
I knew to do that.
Okay,
I knew
good.
to do that.
Good.
Yeah. And then
my dad would have been pretty offended, even though I'm very much a feminist, and I would have been like, Dad, I don't have to have your permission, but he would have been like, just
it's
have a conversation. Even though he knows that, like, he would have been really offended. And my mom told me later, I don't know if you knew this, he was wondering like when you were gonna like talk to him, and he was gonna be pretty offended if you didn't talk to him.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah,
it's a good thing you did.
Yeah.
But you'd already talked about having kids, so you knew your goals in life were
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
similar. And
Yes.
Well, and something we had talked about too, we wanted to have biological kids. We wanted to adopt kids if we could. Because both me and him, for both of us growing up, Eric doesn't have any siblings, and I am the youngest by a lot with my siblings. And so I always wanted siblings around my age, you know? And so I would try to convince my parents to foster, and they'd be like, you know what? You can do it when you're older. You know, I was like, fine, I will. And so I was really, I really wanted them to. And we heard a lot about it in my church too. We'd talk about Missouri Baptist Children's Home, and we'd talk about all those sorts of things. And so I was like, Mom, Dad, you need to do this. They were like, that can be your path. I was like, okay. Which it's funny because now I work in foster care.
Yeah.
And it really did become my path, just in a little bit different way that I didn't get whenever I was 10. But Eric, though, you can kind of talk a little. You always wanted siblings, and you wanted your parents to adopt.
And they ended up taking all the classes and going through everything, but they just didn't end up taking the big leap. I think they got kind of
that final step.
That final step, they just kind of got cold feet on it.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it can happen. It's a lot to take in, but to absorb with it. But, but they went through all the classes. So I remember somebody coming to our house to do a walkthrough back when I was younger too. Yeah, I was I don't remember what grade I was in, but I remember a licensing worker coming out to do a walkthrough of our house and everything. So I remember being babysat when they went to the classes and everything like that, and all of that. But no, they did all of that stuff, but then they decided not to go through with signing up for.
Yeah.
Well, and so we had talked that was something that was important to us and special to us, that we had both wanted to adopt eventually too. It's kind of funny whenever we talked about how many kids we wanted. I always err on the side of a lot, and he was always like, okay, maybe a few less than that. But I told him whenever I was younger, I always wanted 8 children because that was my favorite number. But so we have talked, and we've kind of talked about maybe having like 2 bio kids, adopting 2 kids, and kind of having that family of 4. I always liked being in a family of 4.
Yeah.
So we've kind of discussed that sort of thing. And so we're dabbling in what we're going to do in the adoption realm and stuff, but that's for future news to come.
Yeah.
Well, flash forward, you have your daughter Viola, who's 18 months.
Yes.
Audience, so you do have an 18-month-old daughter.
Yes, and so
and how did that go? Because I'm just going to jump in. I mean, I think a lot of parents with autism have autistic children. You know, the loud noises, the crying, the unpredictability of a child. It's hard anyway, you know. But I know as parents, we've all discussed that before. So that was never. You seem to be handling it really well. Was there any adjustment with anything, baby, or? I've heard you've done really well.
Yeah, we've all. We just saw you with Viola for a couple of minutes. And
I have certainly tried to.
But I think that Disney helped. Like that's something you always aspired to have.
Yes,
so
for sure. And I've grown up, even though I was an only child, I had a bunch of, I had friends, and I also had a lot of cousins. Yes. So I had a very large family, to be clear. So I always was around either friends who had younger siblings, or there was always a baby being born in my family at some point. So there was always babies around. There really is
always a baby being born in your family.
There's always a baby. There's always a baby around in my family somewhere. So at some point, so babies were not a strange topic to me. I was always, I've always been
comfortable around that.
Yeah. It's never been a deterrent for me for that. I love this little girl so much. She's just I love her. She's again, 18 months. She's becoming a toddler. So she's becoming a lot more of a stinker and an ornery thing.
You should talk about a little bit about how you were. So at first, I think this is before I think we were pregnant at the time, or maybe it was before when we were just talking about it. You were like worried about our child having autism though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We were
okay.
really
Well,
stressed
there's
about that.
Yeah. That was a topic that was very, I think, weighed heavily on me a lot because I was like, obviously growing up, I'm sure, you can all say the same for your kids. School was a really tough challenge and, dealing with any kind of school related issue. And then I'm sure, going to IEP meetings and you had to deal with you guys dealing with the schools yourself. It was a lot of hard things to deal with. And I'm not saying I wouldn't be able to go and deal with anything with a school system, but I mean, like, I was worried about them, any child struggling with the same kind of struggles that I went through, whether it's socially,
going through what you went through.
Yeah. All of that.
Sometimes it's easier to kind of like face that unknown and unpredictability sometimes. But you lived it.
Yeah.
So you know all the things that could go
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
Right. It brings back those feelings, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When you think about it. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, I think it was right before we decided to start trying for a baby that we had that conversation and we both kind of decided, we're going to love any baby we have, any baby we're gifted with, any child we're gifted with, we're going to love them. It's okay. And then I started talking to him about some of the stuff that they would be going through, but don't you think that'll make you like their biggest advocate ever? Because you fully understand, a lot of the similar things they'd be struggling with. And so we had a lot of conversations about that.
did,
I was just going to ask you about that. If you had a lot of conversations
we really
about
did. And, I have another medical issue of diagnosis of epilepsy, and that was something that very weighed heavily on me as well. But,
even after she was born, like, we were paranoid about it.
We were paranoid about that one, too. But no sign, knocking on wood right now, that there's been no imminent current signs.
I remember staring at her though whenever she was little. We're like, did she twitch?
Yeah.
What did she do? Because we were
hypervigilant.
Yeah, we were worried.
Yeah, it's because it runs on my dad's side of the family, so that's where I've
about every person on your dad's side.
There's a few cousins of mine and my dad and uncle who have it, and it's been so it does.
For every one of them, it's different severity.
I don't know about my cousin's kids, but there's my first cousins. There's at least one of them that has it, and my uncle has it, and my dad and me. So it runs, and I think my dad said a couple of his cousins also were affected by it as well. So
it was a pretty. I feel like our concerns were really reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's definitely reasonable. Yeah.
What I'm noticing though is that kind of a trend in your relationship is it's about communication. If something's bothering you, you're worried about it, you guys are talking it through and not just once.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's really, from everything, just from the beginning, from what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, even communicating. I'm a competitor, and I'm giving you the heads up.
Literally,
First date.
First date, from first date. I mean, we really, that is, I'd say, like, our biggest strength as a couple is that we communicate absolute everything.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just notice in each other. I mean, and I mentioned this in the last podcast, but we check in with each other constantly. We're like, are you okay? You doing good? And like, we just kind of do those random check-ins.
Yeah.
And I think it's really beautiful because then we don't have to worry about him not noticing if I'm okay and me not knowing if he's not okay. Like, we verbalize it. And so we verbalize everything.
Did you learn that, Eric, from getting married?
Yes. And it's because we've become, it's where we are in our relationship and our marriage. I know her so well, and I can see where she's at. If something is bothering her, I know I can see something's bothering her. So
Except
I know
the pouting
to.
stage early.
But it was really it was a learning process. And so I think we both kind of just realized if we just say everything we're feeling, none of it's going to get lost in translation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
I love that also in parenting as well. When you're like talking with your kids, and I see so many kids when I'm, at the clubhouse or whatever, that I'm watching them interact with their kids and they don't talk. Instead of just narrating everything, because that's how children learn too. They learn that what their parents are feeling, what others are feeling, because they're laying it out on the table.
Yeah.
And just by narrating
pretty
much anything to a child, we're going to do this. Let's move this over here,
Or look over here, look at that.
Yes, it just, it's such a teaching moment.
And we do that so much. It's kind of funny. Earlier, I was actually home alone because I got home and I hadn't picked up Viola yet. And I was just going to change. And I started talking out loud and I was narrating and I was like, Catherine, nobody's here. It's just you and the cats. They don't need the
That
narration.
does happen.
Yeah, I do that. As I
do
get
too.
older, I do that too. I didn't do that when I was alone when I was your age, but I'm just kidding. But I mean, just in general, we just learned so much. I remember when Zion didn't know, like if I would see a funny video or a soldier coming home and I would just be tearing, they were happy tears.
Right.
And he would come up and he would put his hands on my cheeks and he would say, why are you sad? Or, and then he finally, once I would start narrating it, like I'm just crying because I'm happy.
Right.
Like I would say it every time. He was like, oh, you're happy. It showed him that if I'm crying, it could be happy or sad, but usually, it showed him, it was a learning process for him to recognize those characteristics. Right. And I don't know, it's just a way to.
Narration is really, really important with kids. And we do that constantly with Viola. We're always, and that's the name of our daughter, by the way, if we didn't mention that yet, Viola. But we are, Eric, the same too. Like we are constantly just narrating everything.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think it's because of that, and she's also just smart as a whip. She has a pretty big vocabulary already.
She's pretty.
We talked about it yesterday, actually, at the doctor. I was so proud. The doctor said that she was very advanced in the language stage. We're like, thank you.
That's great. Yeah. Well, that comes from parents. If you don't talk to your children,
yeah. So
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
So any other challenges having a child and being on the spectrum, or have you noticed anything? Or
So it's funny. So I think we have to go in stages because every stage has been a little different for him. I think challenge-wise.
okay,
So the newborn phase, a pro. I'm telling
that's what I
you,
heard.
it's like he had 10 children before. Like he was so just there, like from day one.
Do you think that was related anywhere to his, the work with the animals you've done? You learned how to nurture and take care?
I think probably that may have had a lot to do with it as well.
And animals, from my own experience, animals are usually very, you hear them when they're hungry.
Yes.
You hear them when
Exactly.
when they need to go outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, take care of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm telling you, like you would have never guessed that he was a first-time father, like in the hospital and everything. He was very in tune with her from the very beginning. Obviously there was a few like learning things, but he picked up on them so quick too. And I swear he made it just his new profession was
That's
the cool
awesome.
part. And then he says sometimes, I'm gonna call you out. He says sometimes he's like, I miss the newborn phase because I think he loved the newborn phase, which most people I feel like are like, oh, we're out of the newborn phase, but he's like, I want another newborn. I love the newborn phase.
She was a very easy baby, I will say. She was just one of the easiest babies.
But she would cry. She would like get upset and stuff too. But he never seemed to really have an issue with his baby being upset or anything and like hearing it. But nowadays,
Next stage.
She does know how to overstimulate him now.
Yeah.
Well,
And I think she does it on purpose. I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion.
18 months, you said?
18 months.
Yeah. Well, it's about on target.
How is she overstimulating to you?
So he gets home. So I'm going to set the
Oh,
scene.
you're
I'm going to
fine.
set the
Yeah,
scene and then you can
you're
go
good.
from there. But so he gets home before I do, usually significantly before I do. My job's kind of unpredictable. And so he'll be taking care of her for for, several hours, a few hours at least. And so I get home and he looks at me, he says, I need a minute. And he just goes into the bedroom and I'm like, all right, we're leaving Daddy alone right now. And she's yelling at the door, Dad, 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 like yelling at him. And she started saying Daddy recently, Daddy, Daddy. But so you can kind of go into kind of where she sometimes overstimulates you now.
Yeah. It's not the meaning of like, not to say about like, of course a child is needy. That's not what I'm saying at all. Of course I'm taking care of her. It's just the fact of like, I don't know. It's not whenever it's like, whenever the whole, I don't know how to say it. It's so.
She's very now right now.
She is very now. Right
I
now.
want it and I want it now.
I call her our little Veruca.
from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Because she really
we just watched that.
Sorry, I just got that.
We watched the 1970s version for the first time with her for the other day.
I told them, I said, you're going to give her nightmares with that movie.
I love it. Other than the tunnel. That
was the part.
That's scary. My kids are still fearful of that.
But and so I think it's before she would cry when she needed something.
Yes. But now it's just very.
It's like, if I want
it's demanding.
It's demanding.
Yeah, it is very demanding.
And so very loud. She knows how to get very loud to get what she wants.
And so another, I guess, to reference something, if she's in your car or whoever's car she's in, she is like her mother. She's a music freak. She knows music. She loves music, which, that's good. We played music for her since the time she was born. Credit to us. She likes good music. She loves, one of her favorite things is Fleetwood Mac. So she knows she knows good music. Yeah. She knows good bands.
But she controls the music.
She does control the music. If I would love to listen to like one of my comedy shows that I like to listen to in the car in the morning when I was taking her to the sitter before, now we have a different sitter that lives closer, so Catherine can take her in the morning. Before I would have to take her super early in the morning when I'd go to work. But if I wanted to listen to a comedy show that I listen to in the morning,
or anything
but her music, she starts.
And it gets louder
and louder until you plug your phone in and play something of her music. And I love Fleetwood Mac. We showed it to her. We played it for her. Her favorite one of theirs is Rhiannon. But when you listen to it every single the time, you get tired of it for a little bit.
Well, and her current kick is Wicked, the musical.
She does she's a big fan of the.
She's a big Wicked fan. She likes watching it. She likes listening to it. She dances to it, and so we listen to a lot of Wicked. And I love Wicked. But I told Eric the other day, we were in the car, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it again.
I was like, I told her, I was like, well, you better put Wicked on. And she was like,
I can't. I just can't do it. And I was like, I think I'd rather hear screaming. I can't do it right now. And I love that musical, but I was like, girl, you are killing it for me. But so that's something sometimes that gets him.
So it's the most challenging right now is like when you get home from work, you have her and there's a few hours and you need a break. Yeah. Which some of that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also you work in
education
in a place where they need a lot from you.
True. Yes, I'm an essential skill, very para at a school districts in middle school. So it's a essential skills is profound disabilities. So, and
then when you come home, she needs you as well.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this in the last one. He really is a pro with her. Like he can be overstimulated, but if I'm not there, doesn't matter. He'll push through. Even if I am there and like I need a break, he will push through. Yeah. And it's
that's awesome.
Really impressive too to like.
That's difficult. Yeah. That's difficult for anyone, but yeah.
It's really impressive because he will just
well, your communication's so good. That's extremely helpful.
Well, and he'll like not last night because I have her on Wednesdays. We go to church, like church choir together, and she goes to practice with me and everything. But so on Monday and Tuesday, I got home. She was fed. She had a bath already. She was in her PJs. Like she was all ready. And
Eric,
like,
good job.
Yeah. And he had done dishes. Like he had done all these things. And I was like, you got energy this week, guy. But he was, that's how he is with her all the time. Like I never, ever have to worry about like, they're not, he's not taking care of her or she needs me. I'm like, she's got daddy. She's fine.
Right. Or you're not getting calls where he's like, stop, she's screaming or I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
None of that.
No.
Yeah.
And how he,
now, if she's home, I will be like, it's your turn.
But that is just a normal.
Correct.
Yeah. Because we all need time to ourselves to fill our cup so we can be better parents.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And really though, I don't know what it is, but I swear, and that's just not even saying for just dads. I feel like for like any parent, it's a steep learning curve, especially when you haven't been around children. But he just like jumped up there and was like, all right, we're good. We're just sailing. And I was just so impressed for anybody.
Yeah,
it was just impressive.
Absolutely.
To see.
Yeah.
There's some parents, especially I feel like dads I've heard more often whenever they're like baby's born, they're like, I can't even really hold it. I'm afraid to break it.
Right.
But he was like,
or they don't change diapers or they don't do. Yeah.
Oh
certainly.
yeah.
Or they're not willing to learn certain things.
Right.
My son is 21. He does not want children at all. And a lot of his friends who are also on the spectrum do not want children. So I think it's pretty cool that you knew going into this relationship or, in general, before you even met Katherine, that you already wanted children.
Yeah. I always wanted a family growing up, and I always wanted to have a wife and have a family and just have kids. That's what I always wanted.
Yeah, that was your goal.
That was my end goal.
That's why you're so good at it then.
Yeah.
For sure.
You prepared.
Yeah. Studied up on all the Disney movies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've spoken to a lot of autistic, adults, and like Tara was saying, they don't want to have kids. They do, you have to explain to them, what do you mean I can't do what I want? Or, can I just tell them to go to bed? And no, like they might get up crying. Like you have to be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel I feel a little bad about this. I don't really get her at night whenever she cries. I am usually like, Eric, just get her, get her.
It's usually
get her, and so he just gets her now. I've trained him well. He just gets her, and sometimes he'll just hand her to me in bed. But I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just don't want to stand up. But
yeah. Well, your communication's good. So,
Do you think you guys rely a lot on like routines or not necessarily?
We're chaos.
But it's organized chaos almost. I don't know.
Semi-organized chaos.
Depending on routine wise. Yeah.
So
that's true.
everything is always chaos anyway, just because it's just, obviously the people on podcasts can't see his shirt, but it says, I love my ADHD wife.
We got matching shirts. I got this
for our first anniversary.
Our first wedding anniversary. And I got her a shirt that says, I love my autistic husband.
Nice.
Oh, that's cute.
But I will say this is something that probably bothers him with me, that he does like more structure and routine, and I am very much on a whim. And I can.
Is that one of your disagreements that you have in your marriage?
It's not a disagreement, but it's where I notice him
struggling a little
bit. Whenever I'm being too random, too out there, like whatever I'm doing, or I change plans. I'm very free spirited, so I change plans a lot, and he does not like plans to change. And so I think that is somewhere in our marriage that is probably the one place that we struggle to get on the same page about, because I will think, I've communicated this. but I communicated it at the last minute.
Yeah.
And so
Or you thought it.
Or I thought it.
Sometimes I just think that. I think, oh, I thought it, so I must have communicated
Must have
it.
said it. Yeah.
But I've been married 26 years, so sometimes I think my husband just reads my
He should be by
yeah,
now.
I know. But I have to think back and say, oh, I never even said that. It's just something that was in my head.
Well, and that is somewhere where I've seen him in, and I can tell. I don't know how to put it. It's
That he still kind of thrives on a routine and structure a little bit.
he does. He likes to have things planned out. And so I've seen him before. That's where he's kind of lost it with me. Is whenever
Give us an example.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Unless it's going to start
Unless
an
it's gonna-
argument.
yeah,
we don't want to
We don't want to
No.
start it.
Like, what
Yeah.
comes to the top of your mind, Eric, that you like structure that doesn't, you didn't agree with
Man.
her? But you're a whim person, so.
Yeah. What would you?
it's usually-
What was the most recent thing?
I'm trying to think of the most recent thing. So it was probably I said we were going to do, like, we talked about doing one thing on the weekend,
Oh yeah.
and then I completely changed our plans.
Yeah.
And I just kind of informed him of the change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was like, because I kind of do that sometimes anyway. I have to watch myself with that sort of thing, and not mothering too much and just deciding for us.
I see.
Because I kind of mother everybody. And so I just kind of like, all right, we're doing this. And then I'm like, oh, I have a partner I need to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so
That's a good point.
Yeah. And he has before with that, what would you call it? Like, gotten really, it's not a meltdown in the traditional way you think of it.
I've gotten overwhelmed, and I've I've,
absolutely overwhelmed.
Overstimulated, and just been like frustrated, and just like.
How do you deal with it? How do you, I mean, you guys are great communicators, so I'm sure you.
I need to at least walk away, and I need to sit, or I need to just get into a different space for
Yeah.
a minute. And
Do you walk? Do you go outside? Do you have anything that you normally do?
He usually goes to our bedroom.
I'll go to the
closes both
bedroom.
doors.
Okay.
close the door. Yeah, close the doors, and just kind of just sit and get in my own headspace.
Recharge.
Yeah, recharge.
We have
Or-
before where he's been kind of pretty upset about a plan change, and he's stayed home.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad, but I'm like, I already told someone we're coming over. So, I mean, I still need to go over. And I get really like guilty feeling about it. And I'm like, I'm sorry that I did this to you. And then he starts apologizing. I'm sorry that I'm this way. And, and
I have
we can't-
apologized
absolutely.
before that I'm sorry.
So that's good instead of
Yeah.
blaming him for not.
Yeah.
Right.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had a few of those for sure. And usually it's me just being like, I want to go visit this person today. And, you know, and I already texted them. And he's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Yikes.
talking with other
Yeah.
people right now. And I don't really get that because I always feel like talking to other
Because
people.
you're very social.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I forget that sometimes. And it's something that I will overlook that he will like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm at a breaking point. I
Yeah.
need
It's good to
space.
communicate that,
But you
Eric.
respect
Good.
that when
Yeah.
he's in that place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But do you think, Eric, that maybe some of that, not the extreme ones, but some of that helps you from getting too rigid?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where that would come. Yeah.
like a
It's
little,
kind of a
like a little bit of
balancing
Yeah,
that.
balance. Yeah.
But
I
as long
can
as
see that
she's
too.
respecting
Yes.
when it's
Yes.
too much.
And she's very respectful of it as well. And I try to be very,
Usually
try-
it ends up being like, I have too many plans for us in one day.
yeah, usually.
wow.
And I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he is not ready to go.
Right.
Yeah.
He is like, I need my Saturday afternoon nap. Like, I'm not ready to go.
Right.
So that is kind of where we've had some issues. We talk them out super quick.
So
We
what
do.
do you say when that happens? Like if she says, you know, we're going over here tonight. I just text him and he,
I will say a lot of times it kind of starts with like, well, when was this talked about? Or like, yeah, we get into a conversation about it first, and then, about like plan changing or a plan happening without, But
But like when you decided to stay home, you just said,
okay.
when you just said,
staying home.
hey, I just need to stay home then.
Yeah,
Like, how
I'll
did
just
that
be like,
feel?
yeah, I'll just be like, I'll just be like, I really don't feel like in the right headspace or in the right state of mind or place at the time to be going and being around people right now. And she's usually very, very respectful of it and very open to talk about it and work with it. And she'll let me stay home, or we can at least talk about, or if she really wants to go, we can talk about a time frame and staying.
How long?
How long we can stay. And I can go and I'll be like, well, how long do we have to stay? Because I will.
And I'll be like, okay, we have to say an hour so that way we don't seem like we're rushing out on them or something. And he's like, okay, I can do an hour. Or I will be like, can we stay a couple hours? He's like, I don't think I could do a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like, and so we'll kind of negotiate a little bit of how long.
That's classic, actually.
Yeah.
Classic autism, really.
Yeah.
Time with the time for, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all can talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
even with my son at almost 33,
And then
he doesn't live with me, and we still have conversations like that.
Well, and then if I don't agree with him on how, and I'm wanting to spend more time, that's kind of when we get into, you just want to stay home today.
Or can we take 2 cars?
Oh, can we do that?
Yeah,
we've done that before
that
too.
has happened.
We do that with
Yeah.
Zion all the
Point.
time.
Yep, we've done that.
Yeah, he was like, can I drive myself?
Yeah.
So I can leave.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have this, Zion likes the idea that his car is out there. He could leave
an option.
if
Yeah.
he needed to.
Yeah.
Gives him some relief.
Yeah, we've done
It's a
that.
stress relief just knowing that the car is out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We've done that in my parents' place before, and they're like, "Why do you have 2 cars?" It's like, don't question things. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't question it.
Yeah.
We've acted before like, oh, we just both came from work, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kinda like,
Yeah.
we purposely didn't meet up because he might
Right.
not stay as long.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience with autism before this? Have you read on it before, or any adult autism?
Yeah,
or?
not really. So I had done a lot of work with adults with disabilities before that. I had worked for Preferred Family Healthcare, and I had done in-home ISLs. And so with those independent as possible living for those adults, and I would be the person that was there 24 hours with them. And so I would usually stay I would work a 48-hour shift, and I would stay all weekend. But I did that throughout college. And so with that, there was a lot of different types of diagnoses that I would be at different people's houses on different weekends. But we would keep it very routine, and I'd know they would know Friday night, Catherine's coming, or, whatever, because, we didn't want to mess up them and their routines either. But so I did that. And then I also worked at Isabel's house, the crisis nursery, and there was a lot of autistic kids come through there. So that's kind of where I got most of my kind of background. And then,
Which is very helpful.
Yeah, it was, because I feel like there was a lot of negotiating whenever I had worked with some of those adults too. Lots of negotiation and lots of discussions of what are you okay with. And so we have a lot of those though. I mean, he's really good with me too, to where majority of the time I am 100% up to go socialize. But then if I'm having really bad anxiety one day or something, I might not be either, and he'll do something similar with me. And so he'll kind of do the same sort of thing, that it's like, do you want to go at all? Do you want to go just for a little bit of time? And he'll initiate that with me too.
So he gives you the choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same way I usually
Yeah.
But
I mean, from an early age, having a child with autism, we're always giving choices. Before they were verbal, hit this hat, hit this, hit yes or no, hit the hands. So that's interesting. That's good.
Yeah. But it really is, I feel like our relationship works so well because of just the amount of communication that we have.
Yeah. Well, even before we started recording, I mean, you could tell your rapport was very good with each other, and open communication and talking. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, we really
special.
bounce off each other in conversation
You do.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're pretty used to that. We'll pick up on each other's sentences kind of back and forth.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, that's why I asked your experience with autism, but and you had experience from previous relationships or just learning from Catherine. You just seem very receptive to that. And that's a strong trait to have. Not everybody has that. You know, they just want to be stuck in their way.
Yeah.
And,
Eric, you've always been a great communicator, though, because I remember from the Autism Walk many years ago. I mean, you've always been a great communicator, so it just carried on into your marriage. I do have a question about, like, our friend is Eric's mom.
Right.
How do your parents? I don't even know how to say this. I know that as a mom of someone with autism, I am a hoverer. You know, how does that?
Good question.
Yeah, how does that affect your relationship? Because Cynthia has been a caretaker for Eric until he became independent, and especially with his seizure disorder as well. And you could be truthful, but whatever you want to share on that.
Well, I think with that, it was also a ton of communication on my part.
Yeah.
Eric does not effectively communicate with his mother. We don't let him communicate issues.
My mom,
let's just say that
my
we've
mom and
decided together.
I are very much a lot alike, and when you have two people who are a lot alike, then you end up butting heads a lot.
Yeah,
It's because my mom and I are very, very much. I would say we're both very stubborn people and very bullheaded people, but also very compassionate and very.
The compassion drives the bullheadedness.
Yes, it does.
Oh.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and so
It's like you're competing for compassion, or
I feel like Eric has this kind of struggle, and he still kind of struggles for, even though he's independent, he still seems like he's struggling for independence, in my opinion, with his mom. Even though he is independent, it still always seems like that. I cannot give, or else I give some of my independence. And so if there's like an argument,
I could see that.
Yeah, he's like,
It's like you can't. She's trying to control me in some way, and so I'm not giving anything.
yeah,
Oh.
and that's kind of where he gets with her, and so if he has a problem or if we have a problem or whatever, we've just kind of come to the consensus that I communicate it. And
So you guys tag team pretty good. So
yes, I communicate it. We will talk about it ourselves and talk about what we want me to talk about with her or whatever, or with other people too, but specifically with her because they just really do butt heads really bad.
Okay, this is just tell me the truth. Do you resent that at all?
No, I really don't. I like communicating, but I don't want them to get mad at each other. I hate it when they get mad at each other.
The peacemaker.
I would prefer to just let me handle this from the beginning, because we'll have a conversation, and it'll be a really deep and meaningful conversation. That if Eric would have tried to have it, they would have both hung up on each other. We would have been done.
It's like deciding it's a conversation of, well, who's right and who's wrong. I'm right. Between me and my mom, it's a situation of we're both right and nobody's wrong. So my mom,
nobody is caving.
Yeah, nobody's caving.
Yeah.
So,
well, she's had to be strong.
Right.
Yes.
All those years.
Oh yes, and I've never.
The setup is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which, and I really do think it is like it's just what I've noticed. If he gives an inch, I think he's afraid. Of losing.
The independency's already gained.
Yeah, I see.
Which really has nothing to do with
in
her.
that moment. Yeah,
Right.
It's just that.
Yeah.
She's a
So
mom.
sometimes
She wants to know what's going on.
Yes.
She wants to know how you're
Yes.
doing.
And she is I will say, a wonderful grandmother to Viola. And
She
loves, and
Well,
Viola loves her.
And sometimes
It's
her kindness, Eric can think
She's so
that
kind.
she's hovering, or he can think that she's trying to control something, and I'll look at him and be like, "No, that's not what's happening. Like, it's not.
Good
She's
for
not
you.
doing
Good
that."
for you.
Yeah, because she is the sweetest.
Yeah.
She's so
she
kind.
is. She absolutely.
She's so kind to the deficit of herself.
She
though.
is.
Yeah.
She is. And I've told
I
her
guess
that
detriment.
too.
Oh, you have?
Management.
Yes, I've told her that too, and certain other aspects in her life. I'm like, Mom, you have to, you need to cut back on that a little bit.
Whether it's sacrificing her own health, her money, or anything like that. Like, it is her time, her time in the car to go drive somewhere. Like, she will absolutely give you everything. And so I think one of the boundaries we have to work on with her is she's so used to taking care of Eric is trying to help her take care of herself a little more.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to tell Eric that too. I'm like, Eric, if she offers you that money and we're fine, say no. Just say no.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to say no.
I wonder if there's some sort of scientific study on autism moms, like how much,
Yeah.
because I see that in not just Cynthia, that is in so many of us that we will give until we're, bleeding ourselves out. out.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, it's something I've really...
I think because we want to help and we want to, we're so used to helping, fixing, giving.
Yeah.
What do we have to do next to make it work?
Yeah. And we've been the 5 people that run the entire autism walk, it's...
Or fundraisers.
Yeah.
We need to take advantage of every moment we have to help something.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of us have had,
Good point, Tara.
where we have backed off from that one thing because people, and then it falls apart. We're like,
yes,
we worked so hard.
Yes.
You're like,
so we're traumatized.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're like, the last time that I
stepped back,
it didn't work. I think we
so true.
Yeah,
I know that's a very
agree.
good point.
Well, and I think we see that too. I mean, more of our transition, and I talked about last time, our transition into our early relationship there of what is your role? What is my role? What is Eric's role? And that kind of thing, and figuring out where we all fit together, And so I think that for a little bit there, and I've said this before too, and I've told Eric this, sometimes I can be, because I'm very independent, and I've always been very, very independent, and and I've done it since a pretty young age of just being very opinionated, very on kind of like, yep, I'm facing the world on my own kind of person. That's just the kind of person I usually am. And so sometimes it's about me swallowing my pride too, that it's okay for help. And Eric has said that to me, and he's pointed it out to me. He's like, Katherine, you're being stubborn, or you're being, like, why can't she help? And I'm like, because I don't know. Like, So kind of on that end too, because my mom so going with my mom versus, with Cynthia, excuse me. My mom has, she has not raised a child on the spectrum. And so my mom was very much, I raised you, now shove you out of the nest.
And you're the youngest,
and
right?
I'm the youngest. Yeah. And even though it's
you were
like
shoved out a little early, probably.
No, my mom wanted me to stay home. Oh my goodness. She had children in her home for like over 30 years.
Including young grandchildren raised with you.
So it was she actually had a panic attack on the way home from dropping me off to college.
Oh no, that's going to be me this summer.
It was bad. Telling you.
When I drop Caleb off.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, and so with our moms though, like my mom's very much, I will help you if you want it and you ask for it. If not, she doesn't even she does no prying at all. But Cynthia's like, I want to know what the problems are so I can fix them.
Yeah.
And she's very much in that. And so they're learning how to deal with that kind of personality too. My mom and her are very different. They're both incredibly sweet. They also both would entirely just give you everything, but my mom won't let you ask. And so me figuring out how to also appropriately, and it really is, I think, a thing of her raising Eric and always being that fixer and always wanting to make sure that everything was perfect for him, where my mom let me stumble.
Right.
She was very much, I'm not going to let him stumble, and protecting.
Well, I mean, just from our perspective, we did have to be hyper vigilant because we had to sort of like if they were escalating, we needed we had to fix it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it didn't.
And it could happen at any time.
Yeah.
Always we had to
Not
be
that
aware.
Eric was exactly like my son, but we were always saying, oh no, something's going to happen.
Right.
Because we had experienced those, I don't know, if it was a meltdown or if it was anything.
A job problem, a health problem.
A seizure
Right.
in Elizabeth. So,
And those stumblings too, a lot of people with autism don't necessarily pick up on all those environmental cues. So
Correct.
they don't learn the same way as somebody else without those barriers. They're going to keep hitting the same rock unless somebody shows them a way around.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, I think with her, with Cynthia, part of it probably was gaining that trust because you guys weren't together for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I think, for lack of a better way to say it, you had to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think Cynthia's thing you're talking about, that hitting that rock over and over again. I think her thing is she just immediately wants to, how can I remove that rock?
Yeah.
And just get rid of that rock.
Instead of letting them learn.
Instead of letting them learn. And I feel like my parents are more, because they didn't have to worry about, none of my siblings, I'm not on the spectrum, they're not on the spectrum. So, it really is not something that they had to learn,
Right.
And so it's not something that was kind of ingrained in them. And so interacting with her where there's things that Eric's like, that's completely normal. I was like, what do you mean? That's not normal. But no, I feel like we got along me and her got along very well, very quickly.
She's very open.
Yes.
She is.
Kind,
and so we connected right away. And so I think those conversations were much easier because of that.
Yes.
So.
Because in just 1 year's time, this kind of all took place, right? You dating, getting married. Then you had
we got
baby.
married a
then
year and a half after we started dating.
Yes.
A little
So
over a year and a half.
Just listening to you talk this whole time, thinking that would be really hard for me. I mean, if I'm running this whole life for my son, which I still am, he's very independent, but that would be quite a change for me. And I'm sure that's what Cynthia's
and we found
through.
out.
Yeah.
We found out that we were pregnant. We found out at like a month after we got engaged. We found out we were pregnant. And so then we had that the entire time we were planning our wedding. And so
for Cynthia's perspective, I can see, wow, this is moving pretty fast. And how am I going to check on my son and let go?
Yeah.
However, I would love to have my son
find someone like Katherine.
I mean, it makes
Sorry,
me
I
cry.
didn't mean to take the words out of your mouth.
It's exactly what you said. It makes
too.
me cry.
Me too.
Because I want something. I want like a life mate for my son. Like you guys are perfect. It seems like together.
Correct.
And I would love that for my son. And I would be more than willing to give up some of my control. Right. Yes.
If
I
we
would
all
be
had
like,
a Katherine in our lives.
Yes. You said your sisters were older than you, right? So,
And Eric, the good communicator. I mean, that's kudos to you too for being a good communicator.
I try. I feel like I am still just learning more and more every day. I keep doing. I try, and I still just keep trying every day as long as I
Good for
keep
you.
trying.
And you seem very kind and respectful. I mean, I haven't seen you since you were a little guy, but you, I mean, good job for both of you. And you know what? I mean, we're going to wrap it up here, but I think we did check in later.
Absolutely.
Like Viola gets older.
Yeah.
And see how it's going. Because I
Absolutely.
think you might someday think, this is what my mom was talking about. This is why she was
Oh yeah.
This is why she's a little protective.
I am absolutely
Married
sure.
with a 16-year-old. If
Yeah.
we're still doing it, we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
for sure.
But we loved having you guys on here.
Oh yeah.
You're so
We were
cute
very happy
together.
to come.
And
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's been great. So we'll check in again.
Yeah.
We're coming
absolutely.
up on our second anniversary now. Right?
No, third.
Is that our third?
Yeah, it's our third.
This is what
Already
happens
forgetting.
when you have a young one. You
Blends all
forget.
together.
No,
Yeah.
it's our second. It's our second
it?
anniversary.
Anniversary.
We've
okay.
been together.
Yeah, we've
like,
been together longer. It's
longer. It's our second anniversary.
Yeah.
I was like, I have not missed a year. I swear. Am I wrong? No. We got married in 2023.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So we're coming up on our second right now.
You're right.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Anniversary, yes. And thank you again for being on. We love you, Cynthia.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
Watching Viola right
Very
now
much.
for you.
Yes,
So to be on here.
she
So
is.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you guys very much. So.
She loves every second she gets to watch.
Oh, I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a cutie.
It's a prize. It's
Yes.
it's like a you want to have a date night, and she's like, oh yeah, fine, yeah, I'll take
And
her.
you know what? Listen, it doesn't change. My son, like I said, is going to be 32, and if I'll call my mother-in-law and I'll say, "Can you pick up Conrad from work today?" And oh, sure, I'd love to. And that's their only grandchild, so they're
Oh,
they're
yeah.
all over it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
helpful.
That's neat.
So and
I
sweet.
love
I
So,
love it.
but anyway, thank you again. So Tara, where can everybody
you.
find us?
Okay, you can find us on our website at navigatingadultautism.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and now YouTube
Yeah.
at Navigating Adult Autism Podcast. And you can contact us at moms@navigatingadultautism.com.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again. See you
Thanks
guys
again.
later.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thanks for listening. Bye bye.